we provide an update to the Uptown July 4th event in Charlotte, North Carolina last night. A large-scale event was successfully held in Uptown Charlotte yesterday to celebrate Independence Day holiday. People from across our city and around the region gathered for a Charlotte Knights baseball game in Truist Field, fireworks, and other holiday festivities. This annual event draws tens of thousands of people every year. The CMPD, as we always do, worked extensively to plan and coordinate the safety of this large event, ensuring that officers were in place for traffic control and crowd control. We are pleased that so many people were able to enjoy their holiday in our city. There were, however, several people arrested in the Uptown area due to disruptive behavior. As the event went on, CMPD saw an increasing number of unsupervised juveniles enter the Uptown area. Some of the unsupervised juveniles and teenagers began to disrupt the peaceful events of the night, creating a chaotic scene towards the end of the night. 32 people were arrested or cited for their actions in Uptown, including 17 juveniles and 15 adults. 4 firearms were seized. Charges included affray, carrying a concealed weapon, resisting a public officer, assault on a government official, disorderly conduct, possession of a firearm on city property, possession of pyrotechnic, and failure to disperse. In addition, the parent or guardian of 15 of the arrested juveniles were charged by citation for contributing to the delinquency of a minor. There were no known injuries for people attending the Uptown event. However, 2 CMPD police officers sustained known injuries as a result of the disruption. Chief of Police Johnny Jennings will now come to speak more about last night's events and answer your questions. He's joined by Deputy Chief David Robinson. Chief.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here. I'm going to be brief just because I know we have a lot of questions that we're going to probably get to right after I speak. However, I do want to make a comment that you did hear the numbers. You did hear what the events led to last night, but I also want to commend our officers and our staff for the robust plan that was put together, how we were able to execute that plan, de-escalate a lot of situations that could have easily gotten well out of control last night, as well as taking guns off the streets in a crowd of people that were just there to enjoy the festivities. I will say that you look at some of the things that have been going on as far as what happened last night, but I will tell you also that's not who Charlotte is, and that's not what we represent. A few people who decided to come out into the crowd last night for the main purpose of disrupting a festive event with peaceful people that were out there just to enjoy the holidays caused so much disruption that people couldn't enjoy it fully like they wanted to. Families, children, many that were from out of town that were coming to enjoy the fireworks, which was an awesome display of a celebration, were disrupted by a few people that were there intentionally to cause issues. And for that, I'm disappointed. However, you heard the accountability that we had, that we held not only the juveniles that were out there, but the parents as well. And we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to continue to see more events that come to our beautiful city, and the responsibility that the police have to ensure the safety of everyone, whether the citizens and the people that come to visit. And on top of that, a great job as far as even through our dispatch services where we had to prioritize calls for service. We had to put in some contingency plans that we had in place, which took people from the divisions to come and respond briefly uptown, but we were able to get them quickly back into the division. So everyone did a fantastic job on our end, but we're going to continue. As I said, our goal is always going to be to make sure that everyone is safe when we have these major events. So with that, I will take any questions, as well as Deputy Chief Dave Robinson, who was in command last night as well, but we'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Chief, we've heard from several eyewitnesses that there were groups of juveniles who potentially were setting off fireworks that then started these fights and disruptions. From you, how did this all start?
Yes, that's correct. There were some juveniles, groups of juveniles, who had brought fireworks, illegal fireworks, to the uptown area, and they were lighting them, which did cause some concerns within some of the patrons that were out there. But it was far more than that. There were also some juveniles did nothing but try to cause disruption by their actions alone. Simply putting on a mask and running through a crowd is enough to certainly cause concern with anyone out there, and we saw things like that. So these were planned behaviors that we were not aware that this was going to occur, but I think the response that we had within our police department was exceptional, and it could have been a whole lot worse, particularly when you see what's going on with things that happen across the country. I'm proud of the response that we had within the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department.
Chief, some people have said that they don't feel safe coming to Uptown for events like fireworks,
Yes.
and of course with all of our sports teams. What do you say about that, where you have residents now we're saying that they don't feel safe coming into Uptown for events?
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because we have a beautiful uptown area. We have amazing events, and we have thousands of people every single year that come and enjoy festivities that we put on within our city. So I will say that perception is reality, because if they don't feel safe, then that means they're not going to take advantage of some of the great events that we do have. We want to try to reverse that, and for the majority of people, I think they do feel safe, and the majority of events that we have are very safe. We just have to be able to get out in front of those few people that want to cause disruption to those events, and make sure that we mitigate those as best we can.
Just to follow up, how do you then change that perception?
Yes.
I spoke to one person that said there were people in from Brazil,
Yes.
and as soon as they saw this happen, they were like, this is a place we don't want to come back to.
Wow.
So how do you change that?
Yeah, I think the only way from a police perspective is to look at the footprints, to see ingress, egress, what does that look like, police presence, and to ensure that the people that are there to enjoy the event and not to cause disruption. And that's not an easy task. And I'm not saying that we will ever be 100% there. But if you look at how we are bringing people into these events and how they're leaving these events, and also our presence alone out there, I think will make an impact on these.
Chief, for the parents that were charged, what's your message to those parents?
That's a great question. The message is that you're responsible for the behavior of your young children when you leave them unattended at an event like this, because when you have 13, 14, 15-year-olds that have zero supervision and free reign to go out and join up with other teenagers and do whatever they want, then the accountability is going to fall on the parents, and that's what we did last night.
Chief, can you talk about just the robust amount of personnel and officers who were there? We saw them in videos responding quickly, but
Yes.
What was the magnitude of those plans in place?
Yeah, I'm not going to get specific into the number of officers we did have, but we did have a very, like I said, a robust plan, and you saw it where when things did kick off, we were there very quickly, and we were able to mitigate very quickly. We were able to de-escalate a lot of situations that did not grow into major events because we were there. And so I am proud of that. However, we still look at ways that we're going to be able to improve and do better. We're going to dissect all of this and our response and our plan, and we're going to see where we can make it even better next year and in other events that we see in Charlotte.
Is this the disruption that you found out was planned? Are you at liberty to say how you know that this was a plan, the disruption that's on the fireworks?
Certainly, there are ways that we can go back after the fact, and certain individuals that we have arrested or through juvenile arrests and things that we look at and see what's the connection between these individuals. And when you're able to do that, you piece together a few things that that you know was something that they intended to do when they came out to the event, and as well as the actions themselves, because when you have a group of people doing the same action, knowing that it's going to disrupt the crowd, then you can kind of conclude that they had planned that event and they had planned to disrupt the event that we were having out there. So,
of the 4 firearms that were seized, were they legally owned?
we're still looking, and I don't have the answer to that. I don't know if you have any further, but yeah, we're still looking into that.
Chief, I ask this because I know the Knights Ballpark is technically separate from Romare Bearden
Yes.
with what's happened out at Whitewater Center.
Yes.
What are the plans in place? They are not over the security and plans for the people at Romare, or are they, in their firework plans?
No, you're correct. They are responsible for everything around the ball field. We have a great working relationship with them. They hired off-duty staff for safety and security, not only within the park but outside of the park as well, the ball field. And with that, the city of Charlotte and CMPD, every year we have a plan that we increase patrols and increase personnel around the uptown area, and that's a yearly thing that we do because we know the 4th of July does bring a large crowd into the city.
Will y'all be looking at implementing checkpoints or anything at next year's, or wanding people before they go into these areas?
I don't want to get to a point to where we're wanding people, and logistically that would be a nightmare to try and do. However, we are looking at areas. We are going to look at everything basically, but one thing that we have discussed already is, ingress, egress. How do we secure people that are going inside and going to the event, and how do we make sure that the flow of traffic and the flow of pedestrian traffic and vehicle traffic is moved out quickly and safely? And so that is an option that we will take a look at next year. Not saying it will be put in place, but certainly want to look at everything.
Given what happened last night, there was a couple soccer games in town this weekend, both have fireworks and stuff. Are you going to increase your foot traffic, or are you going to look at what you're planning for this weekend?
I think we look at everything. Every event is separate. You can't look and say we're going to have this footprint for each event that we have, but I think we look at all of them individually, see what we've seen with those events, and respond appropriately. And along with that, you always have to have a contingency plan if things go a little bit further than what you thought they would, like we did yesterday, and make sure that we are able to appropriately respond.
Chief, just 2 questions. One, how many parents were charged for the juvenile incidents? And the other is, can you compare, I know that there was some talk about what happened at Whitewater Center compared to this. Can you talk about what was the difference in the plans, or
Yes.
the working with CMPD?
Well, first of all, there were 15 parents who were cited for contributing to the delinquency of a minor, meaning that they left their children unsupervised, and we made juvenile arrests for those individuals. And what I can tell you is the difference is that we work together with Truist Field and the Knights staff, and we make sure that we have a plan that we work holistically together for their fireworks display. They also hire not just off-duty CMPD officers, but they also hire Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office deputies as well. And along with all of that, we come together and determine that this is a safe plan, that how we can have an operations plan that will ensure the safety and security of all the people that come to it. And when we are able to do that, we are able to pull off successful events, even if you have groups of people who want to disrupt it. I think what you saw last night was the plan actually working. And when you don't have that, it can go off into all kinds of different directions. You have to ensure that we can have emergency vehicles coming in, response by a CMPD, by our officers that come in case something happens, and that's what you saw last night.
Chief, how dangerous could this have been? We've seen video of people just scattering all over the place down there.
Certainly, you're talking over 10,000 people outside the baseball field. And if you can imagine, if there weren't a proper police response, the chaos, I heard there were people running into businesses, there were people trying to find shelter outside, get away from the chaos that they saw briefly out there in the park. And if also the fact that CMPD officers out there alone, how much of a deterrence did we see for people not to bring firearms? We had 4 firearms that we confiscated. I'm sure there were more that we didn't confiscate, but also to see that we have a presence out there, maybe that